Now, let's talk about this concept of initiating performance improvement. Here's another thing I highly recommend. If you are referring to this as your human performance program, you're shooting yourselves in the foot. Get rid of the word program. Human performance is not a program. Just like we talked earlier, Tony talked about safety, right? Safety is not a set of policies and procedures. What did Tony tell us safety is? Principle-based values, intrinsic values. That's what our safety really, our safety culture really comes down to, right? In that context. Okay, so get rid of the word program. So you want to implement a performance improvement effort. There are 3 basic steps. The first thing we do is we conceptualize it. Okay, so we want to improve human performance. And if you're smart, you figure out exactly where you want to take human performance. That's something else I'll touch on real quickly before I go further. There's a word that has reared its head a couple of times in here that we were bludgeoned with in the world of nuclear power, and because of that, I personally never liked it. It's a good word, but I didn't like it because we were beaten over the head with it. It starts with an E. Does anybody know what word I'm looking for here? Excellence. Absolutely correct. Somebody in here define for me excellence. What is it? It's an undefined term. So if we're gearing our efforts toward achieving excellence, we don't even know where we're headed. And quite honestly, if you don't know where you're headed, virtually any road will take you there. Am I right? So what you want to do is you want to be crystal clear in your conceptualization what your next level is. And I highly recommend you replace the word excellence with the word next level. Because you can define that. In your organization, for where you are right now, we're at point alpha. We want to get to point bravo. We can define that. That's our next level. And once you get there, then what do you want to do? You want to define your next level, right? All right, so we conceptualize it, and then we strategize. So once we have this concept of doing something, then we put our strategy together. We have been, in my experience, pretty darn good at these 2 steps. Generically speaking, conceptualization, strategization. Anybody have any idea what the 3rd step is? Of course you do, because it's right there in your handout. It is implementation. This is where we have not done such a great job. Here's the question that I like to ask, particularly folks that are charged with improving safety at their facilities, or senior leadership. Here's the question. How do you get a person to do the right thing at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody else is watching? Yes, sir?
Repetition and training.
Repetition and training, really? That'll do it, huh? It may do it for some people. Anybody else care to venture a answer here? Yes, sir?
Convince the person it's in his best interest to do so.
All right, excellent. And that's a long way. That's exactly what you need to do. You want to, in your words, convince the person it's in their best interest to do so. Okay? Now, the first piece of that is it must be in their best interest. That's fundamentally important. And if it is, then you want to come from the perspective of what's in it for them. Okay? I'm going to talk more about that later, but the key is, the answer to the question is, the only way anybody's going to do the right thing at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody else is watching is if they want to. As if they want to. It's the only way they're going to do it. So what we have discovered in our 7-year history of using this particular approach, there is a way to get virtually, I'll say virtually, I don't speak in absolutes, entire workforces to want to do the right thing. It's all in how you approach it. Would you all agree with me that the tools, for example, let's use a very simple one that we're all familiar with, self-checking. Would you all agree with me that that really does help you do your job better? If you're just using self-checking while you're doing your work, would you agree that that helps you do your job better? Okay? Well, it does. It's actually a great tool. And as James said early this morning, most conscientious, competent workers are already doing a lot of that stuff anyway. They didn't necessarily have a name for it, but they're doing it. Self-checking is a very powerful, very, very effective tool. Okay? What you want to do is you want people to understand why they want to use self-checking. Rather than saying, all right, Management has tasked us with doing human performance training. I'm up here. I'm going to give you human performance training today. You're going to listen. You're going to sit here for 3 or 4 hours, and I know you don't want to be here, and I don't really want to be here either, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We're going to go through these tools. We got this little tools handbook. I want you to go through the tools handbook right here. You're going to see that tool number 7 in that handbook is self-checking. Take that handbook out right now. STAR stands for what? Stop, think, act, review. From this point forward, you're all expected to do that, and we're going to be out as management team watching to make gosh darn sure when you're doing your work, you're self-checking. Are you highly motivated? Have anybody in here ever been through any human performance training like that? Maybe they didn't speak quite that quickly, but all right. So, the practicing perfection approach, and again, this is terminology. We've had some terminology introduced in here today, is all about the point of implementation and getting people to want to do the right thing. So, just to expand this a little bit, the goal in this approach is what we call viral accountability. I'll talk more about that in a minute. The approach, or the strategy, is what we call practicing perfection. That's how you go about doing it, with those precepts as the foundation. And then finally, the system is what we call the HU factor, which now has 4 circles, Darren, instead of 3. Okay. This is the formula for viral accountability. You're going to want to put this in your notes because I don't believe it's spelled out anywhere in here. Over the course of the rest of today and Thursday, I will be covering each one of these in a little more detail. PA stands for proactive accountability. Proactive accountability. PL stands for peer, P-E-E-R, leadership. Peer leadership. VC stands for viral change. And VA obviously stands for what? Viral accountability, okay? This is your golden ticket right here. You achieve viral accountability in your organization. If you're the primary champion of doing that in your organization, you're going to be a hero. Or a heroine, as the case may be. Is it appropriate to say heroine in that context? Okay. I know when I did it at the Vermont Yankee plant, I was given a big promotion, stock options, the whole bit. It's so cool. I was in your position, and I did this, and it changed my life, literally. Okay? So the thing is, you see, I learned this over a 20-year period, listening to guys like Tony and all kinds of stuff, and you're getting it all in one nice, neat little package here. You don't have to take 20 years to learn this. If you just pay attention to what we're talking about in this conference, you're going to go out of here very, very capable of influencing the culture of your organization. All right, let's talk about learning. I want to hit this from a little bit different context, and here I got to go on one of my rants. How many of you are parts of fleets that have nuclear and non-nuclear? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, any of you who have your hands up right now, you're on the non-nuclear or the nuclear side? Fossil side? Okay. Have any of you within your organizations, has there been any attempts to nuclearize you? How fun is that? How's that working for you? Not very well. Somebody has a difference of opinion on that?
No, I was just going to say,
oh.
The approach that we've taken, it's modeled after the nuclear approach, but we understand we don't have to be nuclear. So we don't have the hard, tight reins, and we've actually made a lot of progress.
Okay, excellent. You don't have the hard, tight reins. You probably changed some of the terminology a little bit. You've put it more in street language, made it more tangible. That's exactly what we did, right? So I had this opportunity to conduct an experiment and approach this whole human performance thing, and then I took from nuclear, and virtually all of our business for 7 years has been non-nuclear because we did exactly that. So when you do it right, it can be done. But what happens is, folks have been so indoctrinated into the, it's like a religion almost, so indoctrinated into the nuclear human performance, and then they get tasked to going over to the fossil side of the house, and all they want to do is make them look like a nuclear plant. And man, you meet massive resistance when you do that. Okay?